Welcome back to my channel. This is Chris with YOKIKNOWDIY. We're going to work on this hood. You can pick a guess on what car it goes to, but we'll talk about that a bit in the future and explain exactly why we're changing that hood. Just a little project, nothing crazy. We're going to fix little dents here and there, create some nice design on the hood, and just go by hand, paint it with some primer basically to keep it flat black. So we're going to get to that. We're going to show you all the steps that was taken as soon as we get back to you. We found a couple issues with the hood, so we're going to share that with you guys. If you look at this hood, there's some damage. There's some little bump, little scratch, just corner, little bit of rust here. So, well, it's basically just a bit of surface rust kind of dent. So we're going to fix that. So we'll use a grinder. We will grind these bumps. Then we're going to use some compound and some putty. Just sand that flat and fix it all up, just ready for paint. So we'll fix that and we will get back to you. Just an update where things are at. The hood has been buffed, and if you can see, we did a patch. All that was rusted out, so we had to grind it quite deep. Then we put some fillers in that and just primed it. So now it's ready to prime. And before you even do that, you need to actually wash it with a degreaser just to be sure that there's no more grease on it and that, because you know damn well every time you open a hood, you're going to put your hands under there, play with some wires, whatever, it's all greased up. Then when you close your hood, you're going to have some grease on the edge of your hood and that's going to do fish high in the paint, so you can't have that. So this is where things are at. We will show you after it's painted. We're just going to start spraying that. Just in the shop here, we have a fan going. Air will be able to get through under the door and that. And we got the fan going about 20 minutes ago just to clear all the dust particles that's in the air on the floor in here. So when we start painting, actually, it's going to do just a better job. And even though that we have maybe dust in the paint and that's something we can fix after. Basically, we're not painters by any means, you know, this is just DIY. So basically, we're going to make it look good and replace it, and we'll show you the car it goes on after it's done, and we'll show you the reason why we have to change it. Good morning, everybody. This is the next day. Yesterday we did paint it, that hood. We left it to dry overnight, and I noticed there was little bubbles there created in the paint where I put the putty. It must have been not dry enough. So basically what I did this morning, I just sanded that a bit, and I went ahead and I put more putty in there. So while this dries now, I'm going to wait. I got a couple more projects to work on. And I noticed too, I was having some issues yesterday with this. There was some paints dripping into it. So what I'm going to do with 1200 wet sand, I'm going to go and just sand a bit those little spots. And then I'm going to hang this upright. And then I'll be able to spray it. So if anything drips, it's going to drip on the floor. Now, this is the patch I did on the hood. So I'm just going to wait till that dries. I did that, you know, a couple minutes ago. And otherwise it turned out pretty good, but there's a couple spots where we had some bad paint drip that I tried to fix, but you can actually see it through the paint. So I'm going to wet sand that 1200 again, and then we will hang this out to paint. Well, I did wet sand the whole hood just to get rid of every imperfection before I hang it, and to go ahead and to put the last 2 coats of paint on it. So basically just to avoid every little mistake in the paint. As you can see now, it's all soft everywhere. I did manage to sand it where I started with 320 on a block, cutting little strips like this and just going in different rotations. So just a small block, little strip, and then you dip it in soap water. And then you go ahead and you just go on your hood in every angle. And then I got rid of every little things that were in there in imperfection. And then I would go with the 600, same thing, little strip, and the 1200 to finalize everything. So it's been all sanded with 1200 as a final coat. Then for this, where I patched it again, I'm going to wait for this to dry. Whenever it's dry, I'm going to go ahead with the same step. Maybe to get rid of the bigger stuff, I'm going to start with the dry paper. Dry paper will help like get everything down as much as possible anyway. Then I'm going to start the same process with 320, 600, and 1200 wet. So we're going to wait on that while this dries. Last coat on it, then we will get back to this. Before I even start with this, I'm going to have a fan. I'm going to get that fan going. It's going to blow every particle of dust and every crap from under the garage door. I just opened it a bit. This is by any means not a paint shop. I'm just trying to do with what I have once again. And I am not a painter also. I'm just doing this to show you that everything is possible if you put your mind into it. So basically, I'm gonna wait till this dries and we'll get right back to it. Well, now that I did wet sand the whole thing with 1200, wet sanded, and I did patch that corner again, you can see. Just because now that it was painted, I could see some little more defects in it, so I did fix it again. So what we're gonna do now, I washed it, basically just to soap it, take all the grease off again and that, because your hands rubbing on that, you know, that's what I can do. I'm gonna use some sticky pad, I'm gonna clean the whole thing. I got the fan running in here, garage door is open, all the crap is going under the door, and since it's hanging up in the air there, I've had the fan running for about 20 minutes now, so I feel somewhat comfortable anyway that this time I got all the dust and the particles up in the air out of this place. So basically I'm going to go ahead with the sticky pad, I'm going to clean all that up, then I'm going to go and I'm going to spray it again, try to get the best result possible, because right now, even after going out with 320, then I went on with 600, then 1200, did a real nice shine. It's very soft, it's just a matter of cleaning it, getting that last coat or maybe 2 coat of paint on it, then it's going to be ready to install on the car. Well, there you have it. It's been all painted. I put 3 coats on it. I'm going to let that dry. Then we're going to go get the car and I'll show you exactly why we're changing the hood on that before the winter. Well, there you have it. This is the reason why we're going to change this hood. I seen it, as you can see, it had some better days. So we've got the new one painted, all ready to put on. So we're going to rip this one out and put the new one on. Well, just a funny update. We painted the hood, it was purchased to fit that car. That's what we were told anyway, but at the end of the day, something funny. It doesn't fit. It's a different year Civic, so the top fits perfectly, but when you get here close to the light and that, there's a gap. You can fit your hand in there on each side. So we're gonna leave that on the car just for a day or two. Just in the meantime, we're gonna be looking for a new hood.